Good evening, my shining stars. I'm back to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Where were we? I hope everybody had a good day. Everybody had a good Monday. And we're going to think we are beginning the second chapter, and we'll just do a little bit tonight. Probably finish it tomorrow. So we just finished the first chapter, and at the end of the first chapter, Alice had just eaten the cake. So she was small. She shrunk down. She was able to fit through the door, but she had forgotten the key on the table, causing her to need to eat the cake to grow, get the key again. And she had just finished off eating it. She was still small, so she ate all the cake. So let's see what happens next. So chapter 2, the Pool of Tears. Curiouser and curiouser, cried Alice. She was so much surprised that for the moment she quite forgot how to speak good English. Now I'm opening out like the largest telescope that ever was. Goodbye, feet. For when she looked down at her feet, they seemed to be almost out of sight. They were getting so far off. Oh, my poor little feet. I wonder who will put you on your shoes and stockings for now, dears. I'm sure I shan't be able. I shall be a great deal too far off to trouble myself about you. You must manage the best way you can, but I must be kind to them, thought Alice. Or perhaps they won't walk the way I want to go. Let me see. I'll give them a new pair of boots every Christmas. And she went on planning to herself how she would manage it. They must go by the carrier, she thought, and how funny it'll seem sending presents to one's own feet, and how odd the directions will look. Alice's right foot, Esquire, hearthrug, near the vendor with Alice's love. Hearthrug, pardon me, Alice's right foot, Esquire, hearthrug near the fender with Alice's love. Oh dear, what nonsense I'm talking. Just at this moment, her head struck against the roof of the hall. In fact, she was now rather more than 9 feet high, and she at once took up the little golden key and hurried off to the garden door. Poor Alice, it was as much as she could do, lying down on one side to look through into the garden with one eye, but to get through was more hopeless than ever. She sat down and began to cry again. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, said Alice. A great girl like you, she might well say this, to go on crying this way. Stop this moment, I tell you. But she went on all the same, shedding gallons of tears until there was a large pool all around her, about 4 inches deep and reaching half down the hall. After a time, she heard a little pattering of feet in the distance, and she hastily dried her eyes to see what was coming. It was the White Rabbit returning, splendidly dressed, with a pair of white kid gloves in one hand and a large fan in the other. He came trotting along in a great hurry, muttering to himself as he came, "Oh, the Duchess, oh, won't she be savage if I've kept her waiting?" Alice felt so desperate that she was ready to ask help of anyone. So when the rabbit came near, she began in a low, timid voice, "If you please, sir." The rabbit started violently. dropped the white kid gloves in the fan and scurried away into the darkness as hard as he could go. Alice took up the fan and gloves, and as the hall was very hot, she kept fanning herself all the time as she went on talking. Dear, dear, how queer everything is today. And yesterday things went on just as usual. I wonder if I've changed in the night. Let me think. Was I the same when I got up this morning? I almost think I can remember feeling a little different. But if I'm not the same, the next question is, who in the world am I? Ah, that's the great puzzle. And she began thinking over all the children she knew that were of the same age as herself to see if she could have changed for any of them. I'm sure I'm not Ada, she said, for her hair goes in such long ringlets, and mine doesn't go in ringlets at all. And I'm sure I can't be Mabel, for I know all sorts of things, and she knows such a very little. Besides, she's she, and I'm I, and oh dear, how puzzling it all is. I'll try as if I know all the things I used to know. Let me see. 4 times 5 is 12. 4 times 6 is 13. And 4 times 7 is, oh dear, I shall never get to 20 at that rate. However, the multiplication table doesn't signify. Let's try geography. London is the capital of Paris, and Paris is the capital of Rome, and Rome, no, that's all wrong. I'm certain. I must have changed for Mabel. I'll try and say, how doth the little... And she crossed her hands in her lap as if she were saying lessons, began to repeat it, but her voice sounded hoarse and strange, and the words did not come out the way they used to do. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly he spreads his claws, and welcomes little fishes in with gently smiling jaws. Gently smiling jaws. We'll pause there tonight. Just a little bit of reading, and I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry for the little pauses and mistakes along the way. I haven't read this in a while. I'm reading it just as we go along together. So, good night. Have a good sleep.